Good evening. My name is Peter Winter, founder of Peter Winter's October-long Fright-Filled Film Fest, and welcome to Year 8 of the Fright-Filled Film Fest, Suckers. This year we will be celebrating everyone's favorite crucifix, averse bloodsucker, the Vordelak, the Striga, Nosferatu, commonly referred to as the Vampire. This is our first Fright-Filled Film Fest since 2018, Year 5, Season of the Witch, where we are dedicating the entire festival to one cohesive theme. These films span almost a century of filmmaking and range from 2 countries. Rest assured that each will provide its own spin on many of the themes found common to vampire films, such as a truly effortless style and cool, a never-ending, burning thirst and desire that becomes an addiction, the gift and burden of immortality, and the meaninglessness of time itself that is rendered. A effortless, animal, magnetic sense of sensuality. Given that vampires have been haunting cinema since nearly its inception, narrowing the playing field to just 5 films was incredibly difficult. Retellings of the Dracula legend alone could have easily filled its own festival, as could any of the countless vampire subgenres, such as action vampires, romantic vampires, animated vampires, lesbian vampires, gothic vampires, and gothic lesbian vampires. However, we truly believe that these 5 films will give you a long, refreshing drink of everything the genre has to offer. So it is now my honor to introduce to you your host for this year, that master of the arcane, that curator of the craven. Give a warm, Fright-Filled Film Fest welcome to your host, Professor Alistair Winters. My name is Peter Winter, and please sit back, relax, and enjoy Year 8 of the October-long Fright-Filled Film Festival, Suckers. All children, except one, grow up. Oh, you're awake. I see that you've awakened from your rest in the crypt all year. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome to Professor Winter's Library of Horrors. I, of course, am your host, Professor Winters, and this again is my Library of Horrors, where once again I go into my vaults to bring you back something to satiate your thirst for the cinematically spine-tingling. I was just reading, when you found me, a selection from one of my favorite books, J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. The story of a mysterious stranger who comes to the window of children at night and promising them powers such as the ability of flight and immortality. It is a classic story, but don't its trappings and imagery remind us of something darker? I am getting ahead of myself. To the reading room and tonight's selection. It is the mid-1980s. First-time screenwriters James Jeremias and Jan Fischer have completed their first screenplay. Inspired by the child vampire character in Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, and the similarities they find between the Peter Pan story and the vampire mythos. The screenplay is called The Lost Boys. The screenplay eventually makes its way to Warner Brothers. The studio is hoping to cash in on the success of the 1985 childlike adventure film The Goonies. They even bring on director Richard Donner to direct the film. Much to the studio's dismay, Donner only stays on as executive producer if the age of the cast is raised from age 8 to post-adolescence. Donner's vision of a vampire film steeped in hormones and rock and roll is doubled down upon by director Joel Schumacher, who would of course go on to be remembered for another Bat-related film. The influence and legacy of tonight's feature cannot be overstated. With a young cast considered to be one of the most attractive of the 1980s, and a soundtrack stacked with current hits, tonight's feature took the vampire from their gothic, musty coffins into the night and streets of the present day. Current interpretations of vampires such as True Blood, Buffy, and Twilight are all indebted to this feature. So sit back, enjoy the night, and sink your teeth into Joel Schumacher's 1987 horror comedy classic, The Lost Boys.